5,000 meters carrying out a giant. Not to add on the heat.
You must come early, it's going to be very, very hot. And also I need to leave the farm at 11 o'clock.
Apart from that, the expectation of having meat and the excitement is in the air because it might go well. The morning is a very early one as instructed because with the temperatures noticeably gonna rise very quick this morning, the question is what is gonna be written on the paper.
You just wonder every time you have a fresh page of an agreement between the owner and you to hunt their land and an agreement between you and the owner to take an animal out of the land. It's just that every time I look at the paper and I'm excited because I just wonder, what is it that I'm gonna write? Yes, there's a species that I said I am gonna hunt, but is it possible to get it today? And apart from that,
the most exciting part is forgoing those warm blankets and knowing that there is a chance of something very great happening.
It's been a moment. I've been traveling down for a while, but tell those blankets on the relationship we had, it ended badly because I don't have a relationship with blankets. At least I can say now the time is exactly as I had wished for, to be very early, this early, while it's still a little bit of...
And the best part is quickly arriving at the exact time that I had wished to arrive. Regardless of the sun being already out, at least the temperatures are still low enough that the water park can still tolerate it to such an extent that they can come out of the bushes, because I know one thing. If it starts getting hot, they start moving inside the bushes and you can't spot any and every, but we start spotting two across the hill. So it's an early morning and we've seen two females, and it's just too early to say take those two females or one female. So I'd rather hunt and then come back and see if they The mutual decision is to leave the two females laying in the open, trusting and hoping that if we come up short across all the hills we're looking for, we're gonna come back toward where they were, just like most of other hunts, but unfortunately it doesn't happen that way. The other hardest part is seeing through with the sunlight while it's in our eyes. The tough part is the sun is in our eye. It's not easy to see from the side looking at it. There's just no better feeling of taking a decision and then succeeding in that decision, because we quickly spot a few and I see a large bull out of them, but now when we start putting a stalk on them, we find that it's only female, but at least we approach and see and try and put a stalk. So we've seen those huge rams that I had seen before here. So we're going to attempt to take them off and we'll see what plan can we make. Now there's two questions that come to mind. The initial one is, how are we going to take an animal this big out of this thicket? There's no proper road coming to where they are. Secondly, it's too thick to say you're going to take a hot and long shot and then you can't see where the animal ends up, because these things can take some lead. You can shoot them in the heart and they keep moving. But now we just doubt if there is a proper road to come in where if we take one there, we're going to hit. My current concern is that if we shoot an animal in this thick bush, how are we going to be able to see where it ends up? Because if it's a hot and long shot, it's going to go over or come down or go whichever way, but how are we going to see that's where it ended up? Because if it goes over, we don't know. The plan is to get as close as we can, where I don't like taking headshots at 300 or 200 or even 150, because it doesn't matter how accurate your rifle is. The chances of you making a mistake on a headshot and it's not fatal are very high, to such an extent that you would follow a blood trail that's going to disappear. So the biggest problem is that on that side, you can see from as far as the eye can see where the animal is ending up. But yeah, you can only see limited. So now you shoot and it goes off. So we decided to turn back, take the road that's going to take us underneath them.
We get so close to them that we could even touch them. So by the time he tried to whisper that they're here in front of him, they took off. But it feels great to be able to come so close to an animal.
Just underneath them. When we picked our heads over and they ran, so close, maybe at 5 meters.
It's so great to get so close to an animal that you would need to shoot at 1x or less magnification because they're too close. But now they don't show up across the hill, only kudu show.
So it's just nice to talk and get up to where you can even hear them breathing, but then they don't give you the chance and that. But they would like for the water buck. Come here, man.
With this female being extremely smart and very elusive to such an extent that every time I try to communicate, she keeps moving, and when she stops in the open briefly. While I try to sit up, she moves into the bushes. And one thing is the toughest thing I don't want to have, looking for an animal that's been injured.
So the female is very smart. She keeps on moving to the next bush and just standing where there's a bush in between me and her. So I can't shoot after the bush, and then when she's moving, I can't take the shot also, because now imagine you shoot at the shoulders and you hit the guts, and then when are you gonna find that person?
So now the plan is to go and move into a semicircle where we go back to where we started in the morning, hoping that we'll see the two females. Now as we keep on trying to look and see the rest of the herd of the water buck, we can't find the rest of the herd. We only saw one female. And we eventually bump into giraffe, but giraffe are just beautiful and not what we're looking for. Out of all the hunting days I've had, every time you look for a certain species, you always see that the species that you're not looking for at a very close proximity.
Came across some beautiful giraffe, but no water buck at the moment.
And the same thing I've just explained, every time I hunt, the least species that I'm looking for, it's not even on the price list, but it's in abundance, and the one that you're looking for, it's impossible to find. And we spend the longest time looking, but now I start to realize, looking at the time and the time that we were given to be on the farm, and then after 11 we're knocking off.
This is gonna be a problem, because we can see the impala that we left this side. What we can't see is the water buck, and it's gonna be a problem now. The heat is getting.
For many of the hunts that we've hunted here, you've seen that when we come back here, we find the animals still in the same position. But now, because of the temperature, they've moved into thick bushes where we can't even spot where they are.
We can see the impala across the hill, but not the water buck. Both of them we can't see. And we saw a nyala very far, so we'll just have to go back where we were on that side and just see if we can't see. But now it's a problem because the time is not.
So on the last walkway, I decide, you know what, let's call it a day. Let's just accept it that at 11 we have to knock off.
We just spotted a big water buck bull across. So we'll just go over and see if we can't.
So hoping to be able to get to 200 meters close to him, because last time we saw him he was laying down bedded in the shade. And as soon as we approached him at 200, he starts scaling off and starts moving and moving. And now the biggest part is that we don't have a rangefinder.
Pachopangwa. Ah, Mila.
So sometimes you would shoot over an animal trying to guess the distance, but what I'm happy about is if I decide this, I guess it's 300 and I hold over the animal and shoot over the animal, it's better than injuring the animal. So for me, I would say it's not easy to say I'm going to invest in rangefinders, because I've had a rangefinder before and paid a large sum of money, and I left it in the sun in the shooting range and it melted. But we started looking for the blood trail, and there was a great blood trail to follow. So now I would hold for 300 and shoot over the animal, and I would be happy with that because I didn't injure the animal. But I've still yet to figuring out where the blood trail goes.
So there's one thing I constantly try and teach myself, but I can never be able to teach myself. When it's almost cut off time, you tend to panic, and then when you panic on the rifle. The buck is standing, but it's not standing the broadside, it's standing in a very skew manner where it's giving me its behind, and I decided to put it between the shoulders. One thing led to another, and I jacked the rifle and it lifted dust in front. But for the second time, where I saw it where I'm standing on top of this blood trail. So we're gonna track the blood down to the river. Eventually we followed the blood trail up until to where the animal expired, but it expired deep in the bush and in the most steepest hill. We can't go up, it's not the easiest, so we'd rather go down, but it's the longest distance. And speaking of distance, it's very impossible to say I'm gonna have a lot of gadgets on me. Well, in this pocket I'm gonna have rangefinders and these, and then on this bag I'm gonna have bullets in this, and trying to carry all these things at once. So it's a bit impossible or challenging. And then now when the opportunities show up very quick, it's impossible to say you're gonna range then shoot. But I'm considering getting a rangefinder again. I'm also considering carrying the animal out. Well, one thing is for sure, if we wouldn't have been able to take that bull down, the atmosphere would be filled with sadness and no one would be happy. So now that we've taken the bull down, we should accept the pain that comes with it. Because if you enjoy shooting the animal, it must also be nice to carry it out, because I don't want to also skin and say I'm going to leave certain parts of it. I want it all out of the bush and then onto the buggy and then sort it out where we can sort out everything and put everything in its place. So we have no other option, but we have to, because if we didn't get anything, we wouldn't be happy. But not knowing that being unhappy was going to lead us to this, and then now we've got it, so we have to pay our respect to the animal, take it all out, everything, take it out. If it's going to be heavy, then we knew when we shot it that it was going to be heavy. And you know the saying that it's easier to say things than to do them, because it's easy to shoot an animal across the field, but now when it's time to pick it up, it's extremely heavy. But you knew it was going to be heavy even when you pulled the trigger. One thing I can say, must be nice, must be very nice to shoot, but the work of the Now you would think once we've loaded on the Land Cruiser, it's easy. Downhill from now, we go to another bakkie and load it off onto the next bakkie. You would think that the work is done, but now when I get home, I don't find any of the people that I had prayed to think that they would assist me in skinning. So the work of skinning starts again, but I quickly think of a plan of how to pull it up into the tree and off of the ground, and then I'll be able to try and have one hand on the skin.
I've arrived home and the struggle is now finding actually where are these guys, because normally you find them, yeah, but I can't find any of them.
There's no other option because I don't know when are they gonna come back or when am I gonna see someone that's gonna be able to assist me. So now the first initial plan that I have is I can use whatever I have to my advantage, and also the hand that's gonna touch the skin is not gonna touch the meat, and the hand that touches the knife is the hand that's gonna stay with the knife until I'm done.
I eventually decided to just attack it on my own, and it's easier if you hook it on the bucky and then
Hooking it on the top of the buggy and up and over the tree. So by the time I move the buggy, the animal goes up, and it's a quick process if the knife is sharp. So I've been skinning for almost all my life. But now the toughest part is that you have to rinse and wash both your hands after skinning, because the oil from the skin tends to change the meat, and they start trickling in as soon as I'm done with skinning. So now we have to cook some of the meat, well, the liver and the lungs and some of the inside organs, and then we will continue with the rest of the meat, because I've taken out some of the back straps and everything, and we season it with the local spices. And of course we don't use stoves in the village. There are stoves, but we'd rather just have an open fire and just enjoy the stories of what happened and how it happened, and reminiscing on previous times where certain shots were taken and animals were taken down. And in similar fashion, we season them with our local spices, and the best part is the gravy. You would expect water buck to be very musky when it comes to its gravy, but there's just no evidence of the musky smell. And it proves that if you skin with one hand and one hand off the meat, then it does work, but you'd rather have two people doing it.